So what is coming in your yurt? This is a 5-wall yurt, so of course the amount of parts will depend on the size of your yurt. We have 5 wall sections, and you will see there are some marks on the wall sections. If you get your yurt, don't worry, they are not broken. There is a reason, which we will describe very soon. 5 wall sections, a tonneau, the yurt's main part, with 4 very basic panels in the front half of the tonneau. There's a door with a double window frame, a set of uns, the roof rafters. You have 2 baganas, 4 for the larger yurts. These are the central poles. And then there is the felts. The felt insulation, you have 1 set included in your yurt, 2 half moons for the roof, and 3, sometimes 4 rectangles that will go around the walls. And then we get a bag of soft parts, and I will show you what's in this bag. You have a canvas, an inside liner, a top flap, a decorative skirt, and a bundle of ropes. In the bundle of ropes you have 1 single rope that will go in the middle of the tonneau. You have 3 exterior ropes. You have 1 tension rope, same length, but usually different. Round section, a flat section. Those are all horsehair ropes. And then you have 4 ropes for the top flap and a bundle of smaller ropes that will be used. 4 of them for the tonneau, and the rest will be used to attach the walls together. There's not a lot of tools necessary. Basically, you will need a stapler for the house wrap, if you put the house wrap, which is recommended, and a pair of scissors, caulking gun, a pair of pliers, and the X-Acto. And have a few screws and maybe a drill at hand, a few pieces of rope, always practical. If you chose the house wrap option, it's the moment to prepare a piece of house wrap that's going to go on the tonneau. And you take a flat surface, you take a square piece of house wrap that's going to be about 1 foot larger than the tonneau on each side, on every side. Walk with bare feet on the house wrap so you don't damage it. And you place the tonneau as well centered as possible. It's not a job of huge precision. You take a pen and you trace the perimeter where these all holes are, and you go all around. Once you're done, you remove the tonneau, always making sure you don't damage the wrap, and do a little bit of a gymnastic, the tonneau gymnastic. You place it upside down on a piece of cloth, just like that. There you go. You take a pair of scissors and you will cut 1/2 inch inside the marking. No big precision job. This piece can be left on the side, it's your next tablecloth. Take your caulking gun and you will make a thin caulking in the edge all around the perimeter. Now you ask for the wind to stop blowing, and you get the help of a friend and place the marking, the printed marking, facing down. In this case it will be facing up once we put the yurt up. Now you see, because we cut it a little bit smaller, it comes up. Here we're nice and precise. We can rub our finger all around. To finish the process, we take a stapler and we go pretty much between every hole as far against this edge as possible. We want to be as close to the tonneau as possible, because later on our canvas will come between this lip and the tonneau. And this lip was not existing in Mongolian yurts until very recently. It's one of the latest upgrades. It was a great idea of Bata, our manufacturer, and it helps with water protection. It's the quality of a good yurt. We'll have this lip now because the word spread quickly. It's the open source yurt. The yurts keep evolving. Now the next part of the preparation is to add the ropes on the tonneau. We take this single rope that's alone in the package and we'll put it in the center. It's the yurt's only anchorage, and we'll talk about this later. The end of the rope ends with a loop. That's how the rope has been braided. So you untwist it a little bit, take the other end through this loop and all the way through. That's one rope ready. The bundle of small ropes, you take 4 of them, and same thing. On the perimeter you have 4 rings. You also have 2 sets of 4 hooks. You use the 4 rings, and same thing, we pass the end that's looped, we untwist the rope and pull the other hand of the rope into it. If it was too difficult to untwist, you can just make a whatever knot to attach it firmly to those rings. So we pass the end of the rope that's looped. You will see one has just a knot, one is actually looped, and you untwist the end of this rope, this loop, to create a bigger loop. You take the other end, which you pass through it all the way until you can tighten it to the ring. And the same principle goes for all of them, including the one in the center. This is something you won't have to do once you move your yurt. It's because it's a new yurt, but once you move your yurt, it's going to go a lot quicker because a lot of the preparation work will be already done. We have 2 extra small ropes that usually come on the tonneau. Sometimes they're missing. Have them at hand. It's to attach the central poles to the tonneau, so we'll leave them here for now. And the last little bit of preparation while you're down to the ground, is to remove those nails. Here we have those 4 little panels in the front half of the tonneau, and they are secured with nails for transport. just remove up 2 nails. Remove the panel, keeping the nails if you wish. And we'll remove 2 of them, at least for now, so we will have better access to the roof. When you do that, or when you go around the tonneau, make sure you're not stepping on the house wrap. And you remove another one, so you have one every other that's open. And now we're ready to start. If you have a nice platform, you can choose to walk with your bare feet or put some covers on the ground. We're placing the door where we want the door to be. We will take the opportunity to remove the front part of the door. We can lean the door on the open inside doors. Take care if there's a lot of wind. We place the baganas and the tonneau in the center, and we'll start bringing in the walls. On the door you have 2 loops. Open them, have them open. Sometimes they're missing as well. Have a little bit of rope available to create a long loop that you'll pass through this hole here. At this time, if you're thinking of bringing in a queen size or king size bed or anything very large, bring it in your perimeter. Think about it. The walls are carved, and to achieve this carving, Mongolians break very slightly the wood vein to give it this curve. The reason is the wall will stand straight once it's in a circle, otherwise it'll curve in. You will see that all those slats have been split by hand. That's the quality of a very good yurt, and our walls are usually stronger because we get more snow loads. The nuts are made of camel rawhide. There's a pointy part to the top of the wall. This will face up. And the walls are marked with a number. We have a 5-wall yurt. Here it's 1 to 5. I'm going to start on the left side of the door with wall 5. And you'll recognize the door walls because they're cut with an angle. Now you open the wall, you spread it inside the perimeter until you reach just a couple inches above the door. You push it against the perimeter and you insert it into the door here. There you go. Now it's in. You can put this rope temporarily here. So you're basically, by pulling on this rope, squeezing the wall against the door. You have someone hold the door. So since we started with wall number 5, we'll just remove a little bit the grass there. Make sure there's not too much material. I've started with wall number 5 on the left side of the door. I continue with wall number 4. To connect 2 walls, they have to really follow the curve of the yurt. So if you're on the flat ground, no platforms, you need to give it the curve. And now we want to interlock those 2 walls together. And you'll see it's a little tricky the first time. There's always somewhere that's holding. Here, this one is holding. Here, this one is holding, and the bottom one needs to come to the front. And finally, fall into place nicely. To help you if you're unsure, there are little marker marks on the outside of the wall that will show you if you're in position. So now we're going to attach these walls together. We take one of the extra small ropes, we untie the end, this loop, as we did for the tonneau, and we'll put it on top of one of the walls here. Then we go around that wall and we'll go to the next connection. The idea is to follow this connection and attach each of them individually. So I'm going outside, I'm coming back horizontally, I pull a little bit, I come into the top of the rope and I pull down. By pulling, I'm squeezing it together. I continue the opposite way, exterior, I come back horizontal, inside the rope, and I pull down, and I continue all the way like that till the bottom. And what's interesting here, we're basically creating a pillar in the structure, adding strength to the whole structure. So all the parts of the yurts have many different technical necessities, and it's really the combination of all those parts once they're all attached and combined together that gives it strength to the whole yurt. The walls themselves not solid enough, the felts themselves not necessarily solid enough, the canvas neither, but the combination of all those parts attached together makes it an incredibly strong structure. I'm going as far down as I can. Sometimes the rope is not long enough, so here I won't be able to go all the way down. So here I'm finishing with a loop knot. You're now a nomad, so you're only doing loop knots. So I'm blocking here with 2 fingers. I'm going to the back with my loop, pulling the whole loop together. So once you move, you can simply untie this and be quick at going to your next yurt location. We now have two walls together. I find it easier to start from both sides of the door. So if we started with number 5, now we'll take number 1. Up. Richard can take the next wall. Same thing, slightly higher than the door. It can happen that your perimeter is a little too small, so this piece here will push your door up. You can always cut that piece of the slat to avoid that. And you'll see once you're really well into place, you'll have lines that will show you that you're well connected. The markings always face outside. The pointy part always on top. Richard is connecting the last wall, wall number 3 in our case. Do not try to connect 2 walls simultaneously, you will be working against each other. And now I'm going to connect the last wall. We connected all our walls. A little check, we want to be regular. So we're going to take the middle of this wall and make sure it's facing the door through the center of the platform. Here it's easy because we have a whole line. So the middle of the wall is the 8th un. We have 15 roof rafters connecting on each of those walls. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my center. And I see I'm off by about 6 inches. I'm placing myself back and I move my center so I have a in line with the center of the platform and the center of the door. The 5-wall is the most traditional yurt that's still used on the countryside in Mongolia. About 80% of Mongolian yurts are 5 walls. They carry 81 roof rafters, 9 times 9, and 9 is the holy numbers for Mongolian. So you will see there is a lot of tradition in a yurt. And it's really a connection of symbolic and technical necessity. Now we are going to put the tension rope. The tension rope is the only one of the 4 long ropes that has a round section. Sometimes it can be a flat section as well, but usually it's round. And here I'm going to create a loop around this wall in a way that when I pull on the loop, we're basically squeezing the wall against the door. This one is the flat rope. We have 3 of them that will go on the outside when we're done. And for the tension rope we are going to use now, we're using the same length of rope, but it has a round section. And we are placing this rope inside the loop here, making temporarily a loop knot, simple loop knot. And we're going all around the yurt at the far top. Just the last quarter here. At the connection, we're taking the rope inside and out so that it will hold into place around the pillar that we've created. We attach it to this green rope, it can be any color, coming from the door, and we make a loop knot there. Easy to release. Now we're going to connect the baganas, the central poles. The central poles connect the sky to the earth. The tonneau is the sky here. So we're taking one and we're placing it on the area that has no paint, with the pillar nice in line with this central line. Here we take one of these little extra ropes that usually are rolled around the tonneau when the tonneau comes. It does happen that these ropes are missing. We start on this ring, we go around, come into the next ring, pull a little bit already, come back, we go at the back of the bagana, coming directly into the front ring, coming back into the last hook, actually not ring. So you come back and here you go inside the rope, and by pulling this rope down you create a tension. With 2 fingers you pinch this so it holds together. With your other hand you create a loop and pull that loop back. This is again your famous slip knot or loop knot, whatever you call it. Easy to release. It can happen, it happens sometimes that they put those hooks a little too far. It's just a matter of unscrewing them and putting them at the vertical of the bagana. It's for them just to remind us that it's all handmade. Now we're going to raise the tonneau. we make sure that we don't step on the house wrap or on the ropes. There you go. And we're going to move our tonneau so that the center release on top of the center of the yurt. A little bit further here, I think, yeah. That should be right. And we want to be aligned again with the center of the door. We are now going to place the hunds, the roof rafters. Each of those hunds go in one of those holes and will meet exactly one position on the wall. So now I have 6 positions on the door, 3 on each side of this ring. Some bigger yurts can have 4 on each side of the ring. So you will take a roof rafter, you will leave 3 holes empty and put your own in the 4th one. Here, this little loop, this little horsehair loop, you place on top of the wall on the inside, not on the outside, so you don't force on the camel rawhide once we push back. So we have one here, we put a second one on the other side of the door, leaving 3 empty on the other side of that little rope. We place our little string. So this one is a little tight, sometimes they're not tight enough. And it's sitting here in this triangle. I made sure that the nice painting, if you have it, is facing down. I'm taking the central rope, I'm pulling it through this loop, and here I'm doing what I call the trucker's hitch. It has different names. I do one loop that I twist twice. I take the front end of the rope to create a loop here. This will be always easy to release. Then I take the end of my rope, I put it through this loop. This way I have twice the strength and I can pull a little bit there, pinching with 2 fingers, create my famous slip knot. And this triangle now is pretty solid. You could even do that on your own with a little bit of training. We check that we are well aligned with the center. We take one hun at the back, which we place in the middle hole. Since we have a 5 wall, it's off-centered from that ring. It's the one that's following this center beam, that's in front of this center beam. I put it in this hole. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm right here. I push the wall a little bit back. My string on the inside again. Now we have this line. We check our alignment. We're very nicely aligned. And Chuck and I will each take a hun on each side of the tonneau to secure this. I put it randomly. And I push against Chuck. I put that little string. We know that these 2 are exactly in the right position. We've left 6 holes empty for the door. We know that the back hun is in its right position. We're not sure about those 2 here. Now we take a hun, we can start on each side of the door, and we put a hun in every 4th hole. So we leave 3 empties. We have to do exactly the same on the wall. We leave 3 empty and we put it in the 4th. There you go. From now on, there are 2 safe places in the yurt at this moment. it's under the tonneau or outside of the yurt, because those roof rafters, especially when you do it the first time, they might fall. So think of putting maybe covers on the ground if you have a nice floor, not to damage the floor. A little trick to avoid damaging the floor if your roof rafters fall down. You take one of the outside rope, you attach it to the wall here, you go straight across the yurt, pass it around one of the holes here, go there, you make some sort of a star or a triangle. This way, if your roof rafters fall down, they will be caught by the rope. And you keep going every fourth. Doesn't matter, as long as it's the same amount, both on the tonneau and on the wall. Here I have 3. I count 3. This is the one I put temporarily. It might be displaced, so you'd have to move it by 1 or 2, whatever. Make sure it's the same amount that are free here and here. Now, I mentioned safest place under the tonneau or outside, especially if you have younger kids. Don't have them run in the yurt at this point. You don't want them to get a roof rafters in the head. If your roof rafters keep falling down, that means that your diameter is too big. So in this case, you'll go outside and you'll tighten the tension rope to close the diameter. If instead it's really too difficult to put the roof rafters in, you go to the tension rope and you untie it and release a little bit the tension. Now we're almost done. We're with our first row. 1, 2, 3. Here I have 4, here I have 4, 3, 3, 3. And we get to the back and we have exactly always the same spacing. That means we're good and we can fill out everything. If we did a mistake, we would realize it here at the back and we'd have to replace. And that's why we also place only a few at the start, so we don't have to move 81 roof rafters. While our friends are finishing putting in the roof rafters, we take the 4 cardinal ropes. This will help prevent the tonneau from twisting. And I take the one that's the closest to this one. I go all over the V. I pull it inside the yurt and I create a triangle by going back, coming back up here and pulling down, adding tension, finishing always with the slip knot. Usually we do this work from the outside. Here we're a little raised and a lot of people have their platform raised, so you can do it from the inside. Just keep in mind that when you're starting to put a roof rafter here, you will push on the wall, and in the meantime you have a tendency to release the neighboring one that might fall. So ask your neighbor to put it in or just monitor it. First you place the one in the tonneau, then you take the little loop, you push on the wall back and you place the loop on the inside of this V. Among the owns, you'll find a few that don't have that little rope. Those are the ones, and they are numbered, that will go above the door. The door being straight cuts the circle, so the ones here are shorter than those here that are shorter than those here. I take number 3, I put it here.
4, 5, 6.
Number 4. 5. Two and 1. Those have not been cut absolutely perfectly. If they are too loose, you can tighten this rope against those roof rafters, so those will remain in place. A last check, we're done with the structure. A last check is to make sure that we're nice and regular, that the roof rafters are perpendicular to the tonneau. If they were not, you can always lift a little bit the bagana with a friend and twist it to have it nice and lined with the center.